Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If there's something I know for sure, it's that TDS is a real thing. Ah! Ah! She's everywhere! Ah!
We the five zones, hungry for change, raging through the streets, so the pain is to exchange. No brains, no fear, just a whole lot of attitude. We the undead revolution, here to set the mood. We're rolling deep.
Whoa, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Fat Zombie Entertainment, the Buffett Hour. Well, we got a good show for you guys tonight. We're trying some new special, effects with this program I have. So we're trying to make things look all, copacetic and more professional in general. So what's up, big dog?
You know me, man, just chilling, watching the news, like a person who has nothing else to do in life.
Yeah, you just studying that news all the time, man. Like looking up all the... Bro, I don't see how you do it, man. Like every time, like I've said this in the past, like I cannot sit there and watch the news on that TV right there, or even some creators, because I just want to go out and start punching people. I just want to slap people, and it just gets me in a bad mood and just makes me upset, man.
Yeah, I've just been beaten down more than you have. I just, I don't know. I want to know what's going on. I have a hunger for, knowledge, and whether I can do something about it doesn't really matter. The fact is, if I know what's going on, at least I can protect myself and maybe inform other people, and maybe that'll help somebody else. But I just like knowing. I like being in the know. And it's really hard to be in the know when all the news is really hard to find the truth. So hopefully some of the stuff we say will resonate with people, and we'll maybe explain some things. And if not, we can have fun,
well,
falling apart with the rest of the world.
That's why I let you tell me the news instead of me finding it out. Then I go and do my own research. But sometimes you just can't help it. I don't know if you've seen TikTok, but it's full of this stuff. And I mean, we're gonna get much to on that later. But so for our first news topic of the day, it will have to be the shooting that happened at the parade in Kansas City after the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And yeah, so I have a video here that I'm going to be showing that's going to show Ann Coulter went on to the Bill Maher show, and she pretty much said this. Well, I'll just let the video do for its talking here. I'm tripping over my own words, so check it out.
We don't know who did this shooting, by the way. The Super Bowl shooting.
We have some idea.
What?
If it were a white man shooting, we'd know.
Well, we don't know. But
That's how we know it's not a white man. I can tell you that much.
You think they were repressing that reporting?
They wouldn't tell us about the transgender woman that shot up the Christian school for like a year? San Bernardino out here. Remember the crazy terrorist Muslims? That's when I first noticed, they're not telling us who it is. It's not a white male. The longer they go without telling you, it's not a white male.
Okay, well, for this one, for right now, as of Friday night, February 16th.
We know.
We don't officially know. Okay, you have special powers.
All right, so you see that right there. But, okay, what she says, you would automatically think that's pretty messed up that she's just going to say that without knowing anything. But...
Open fired first at the Kansas City Super Bowl victory parade. Now, he tried to give the police a runaround until they presented him with video. Then he later admitted it and said how stupid an idea it was. Well, no shit. There was women and children all over the place. And in the result, someone's life was cut short, which is absolutely crazy. This guy is a menace to society, a complete scumbag. What started as a squabble, what he perceived as a threat on his life, and that is why he decided to open fire, which is no justification for what he did. Shout out to Taylor Swift for donating $100K for the woman's family that lost her life for whatever expenses.
All right, so that's the whole thing about it. Like, I know from what you hear Ann Coulter says, your first reaction is probably like the guy that was sitting next to her. His reaction, like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." I mean, we don't know. But then she gets proven to be right, and this happens over and over again. I've seen, just like with apparently that shot up. Where'd that happen? Tennessee or something like that? Jedi Master Fatass?
You're talking about the transgender shooting up the school that she was talking about?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that was Nashville. Yeah, that was here in Tennessee.
Nashville. So yeah, that took them a year to release the person's dossier or whatnot.
Well, it wasn't right away, and we knew they had it. There were rumors that it existed, but they didn't actually release it until significantly longer after the fact. Yeah, and you're right. It is something that you wouldn't think is true, right? I mean, you would think that the news, in their job as the press, would be releasing information regardless of who it was. But time and time again, if you only hear about the cases that are amplified against white men, and any other murder is just, that's just another day in the news cycle. I mean, you have people killing each other every day in Chicago. You have crime rising in every major city in the country, and yet you hear about only the occasions where it's one person, a white guy, usually going nuts, usually mental disorders.
And like, even a good example of it, like when I was Googling for a picture of the gentleman in the mugshot of the video that you saw, I could not find a picture of the guy anywhere. It took me going to TikTok, getting that video, and actually uploading it to here for people to see what the guy looked like.
Yeah, I mean, and we've gotten evidence this week, that Google and other tech organizations are building AI that has built-in biases in them. So if they have biases in their AI programs, it's not a stretch to think that they have biases in their search protocols. So obviously, they're either killing it, or they're burying it so deep that you have to go hundreds of pages in to find it. And so, yeah, there's definitely bias in it, and we're definitely seeing that not just in the media, but also in tech as well.
Crazy thing was, I saw a video on TikTok not long ago where this gentleman, he's wearing I tried to find the video so hard, like before we got on here. Essentially what it is a gentleman that has what looks to be like a Trump hat, but it says "Made you look, Black Lives Matter." Black lives do matter, but this gentleman proceeds. Now, this is before any of the information that we have out now, got released. This is before we knew anything about the suspects in the parade shooting. He goes on a tangent and just automatically, the freaking dude blames the shooting. He tries to blame the shooting before we have any information on Republicans. Because they were mad that Taylor Swift was being covered so much during the Super Bowl. Like, really, bro? Like, really? Wait, what?
I can relate. I'm tired of seeing Taylor Swift.
But enough to go shoot somebody? To go on a shooting?
No, but I can definitely understand people being pissed about Taylor Swift. I hear Taylor Swift all of a sudden get tuned out. I mean, I'm tired of hearing about it.
Okay, that's why we had the little opening in the front, because, like, I can't imagine somebody having TDS, Taylor, what was it? Taylor derangement syndrome. I think it's a real thing. I can't imagine somebody having Taylor derangement syndrome that bad to go and start shooting. And this is what this guy, this idiot, goes and tries to say before we even find anything out about what happened. Now, so he doesn't have Taylor derangement dysphoria or whatever. This guy, the first name that comes out of his mouth, guess what it is? Trump supporters did this. Like, that is some serious, the real term, TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. That's like, for you, when somebody gets shot, when somebody like this lady that lost her life here during the shooting or whatever, I believe she was a local DJ in the area. She goes and loses her life. Other people are injured. The first place this idiot's mind goes is, oh, a Republican got mad and started shooting because they love their guns. That is serious TDS, bro. For that to be where your mind goes first, and you are a piece of crap.
But they really believe this, though, and there's no statistics backing any of that up. And yet that's the first place that they go. And there's a reason behind it. They're being indoctrinated to think that all white people are going to go shoot them. That regardless of whether you're a cop or not, that anyone if it's of white complexion is a danger to them, and they've been indoctrinated in this, and it's tragic. And then there's an effort to tie that to Trump. Like Trump is the herald of the white man, and it's not the case. It's just not. Trump has done more for minorities in this country than Biden ever has.
Now, I would be the first one, like, if that were the case to denounce, I'd be like, dude, that dude does not represent, you know what I'm saying, people that support Trump. That is a lunatic that belongs behind bars. You know what I'm saying? And then it's so obvious that the media were not saying anything about this. Like, you had to dig just to find the suspect's picture, just to find the real story. You had to dig on TikTok. You had to dig through articles. It's insane, man, because it doesn't forward their freaking agenda or their ideology that they're trying to spew out there.
Yeah, the transgressives in the Democratic Party and to some degree their progressive allies are in a bad spot. I'm thinking American people are starting to wake up to some of the craziness because we're really listening to only the farthest fringe. So our government is being run by what's effectively the far left. And obviously most Democrats don't even agree with half this crap. Some of them do. Small groups within them that are very vocal, and a lot of them have a lot of money, and they use that to control the party. And it's really sad. And I think that this election, I hope, is going to be an opportunity for at least some of them, at least either not vote or maybe even vote for the other side. But again, with the amount of propaganda and misinformation that's being chunked out by our own government and by allies of the government, such as the tech controlling everything, it's really hard to say what real people are actually hearing. You and me, obviously, we know more than probably the majority of the people simply because we care and we search for that information. But I don't think that most of America is doing that. And they don't even know where to look to find that information because it's being so carefully controlled.
You got to do some serious digging. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And even if you do the digging and you find something, you don't know the veracity of it. You don't know how correct it is because there's so much misinformation and so many things that literally contradict other things that are being said sometimes in the same reporting.
Now, I'm going to say this, and I have to agree with Ann Coulter. Like, if this, and I don't want to say this, but it just, if we look back in the past of all the examples we have, and history has proven this, if this would have been a white male, and I don't like sounding like this, like feel bad for the white male, feel bad. I do not want to sound like one of those guys. But if that were the case, this was a white gentleman or a white straight white male, I guarantee you that day, that night, the next morning, we would have known everything about him. We would have known their dossier, their reasoning. We would have seen their picture plastered all over CNN, all over MSNBC, everywhere. We'd have known every little detail about what happened, why they did it, and what shoes they wore that morning, where they hid stuff, their whole plan, with their relationship with their mother. We would have known every little detail about the person if it was a straight white male.
Yeah, that's the agenda they're selling. Absolutely. So that's the message that they want to say. So if they have information, they're very quick to put that out there. You're absolutely right. But they don't want to alienate their base, really, the people that actually watch their stuff.
Now, I'm definitely not saying to not report if a straight white male or does something wrong, does something horrible, which like this. It doesn't matter what color the person, what nationality the person was. Just report the facts, and don't be like this idiot running, like hurrying up and trying to spew out this rhetoric before any information was let out that, oh, it was a Trump supporter or it was a gun-toting Republican mad at Taylor Swift. With like that is a straight up lie, because you don't know. You're just lying at that point. It shouldn't matter who it was. Just report the facts on who exactly it was and just move on from there. That's all we need. It doesn't matter, if it was a white, black, Puerto Rican, Asian, Venezuelan, Mexican. It does not matter. Just report who it was. This is what they did. This is why they did. Don't try to hide just because they were a person of color or a person of a different sexual orientation. Don't try to hide and not say anything about it because it doesn't fit your rhetoric. Just report the facts as they come. News has gotten so far away from that, it's insane that you have to go and dig for the facts. You're not doing your job.
Yeah, it's become a business. You're absolutely right. They are not there to do the job of the press. They're not journalists anymore. They're media personalities. They're there to sell you a story. So when you watch, and I'm even talking about Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. I mean, we're even talking about ABC, NBC. We're talking about some of the major primetime news networks that are your local news even. They're all owned by the same people. They're all giving you the same message. They're all controlled by the same ideology, and they're not giving you information. They're there to make money off of you, and so they're going to sell you a story. So Fox News decided to be contrarian to make business off of the other group. That's why Fox gives a conservative bent, because they're trying to target that group. But just because they tell you something doesn't mean that's the facts. That's the facts as they want you to see.
Screw Fox too. They're not your friend either. I don't want to see bias to the right or to the left, or I just want to see down the middle the facts, what's exactly going on. That's all we want to see. We don't want any biases at all in our news media. We just want what's going on, what's happening. Just report what's going on. That's all we want to hear.
True journalism. We want
true journalism. If it was a gun-toting Republican that went out there and shot people, I want to know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want to know. If it's whoever it is, I want to know.
I want them to be just as thorough on targeting politicians of both sides. I am not naive enough to think that the Republican Party, just because they're the party that has more of my ideals, are clean hands. They got blood on their hands just like everybody else. They've got skeletons in their closet, and it's the press's job to find it and tell everyone. But they have to do it for both sides evenly and aggressively all the time. It is the press that's supposed to keep our politicians honest and keep us informed. But if they're tipping the scales, we no longer have a free press, and therefore, what's the Constitution doing to protect our rights as citizens to have real information? If the press isn't going to do their jobs, why do we have free press?
Exactly. That's pretty much what I'm saying here too. Now going on into sad situation, God rest her soul, the lady that lost her life in this shooting. Basically, from what we gather, it was from a dispute. A gentleman opened fire. He thought his life was threatened. Not a good excuse to fire on, children and women and all that stuff. Take yourself out the situation. That is just stupid. That is just dumb. I mean, I just hate to see it. Pray for the families. That's all I got to say. Tragedy. Moving on to our next thing here. We have this person here. God rest their soul. This is Nex Benedict. She was apparently... she apparently died, and it's very unclear how she was or how they were unalived. Pretty much, she had a altercation with some students, other students in a bathroom. A fight ensued. She got beaten up, apparently, and she was then taken to the hospital or whatnot. Her grandmother, she went home, then her grandmother took her to the hospital, and she later passed away. And it's not known exactly why she passed. But then you have people like this, just like in our last story, which I told you about the guy that he's so quick to blame Republicans or whatnot. He's so quick to blame before he even knows what happened. This is another case. This genius right here goes, and this is what they say. Roll the video.
and rhetoric contributed to the beating death of a 16-year-old student in Oklahoma. Just a few weeks ago, Ryan Waters, the superintendent of schools in Oklahoma, added the creator of Libs of TikTok to the school library board. And it was too much even for the people of Oklahoma. There was no benefit to putting a woman from California who has no children in the Oklahoma school system on the school board when the entire ethos of her social media account is to attack, dehumanize, criticize, and dox queer people. And that hateful rhetoric and dehumanizing of queer people, coupled with the broad attacks on trans children, resulted in the death of a child. This here is Next Benedict. They were a straight A student who lived with her grandma, loved to draw, and loved animals. And 3 older girls in the high school beat them to death on the floor of the girls' bathroom. The attack was broken up by a teacher who did not call an ambulance, even though Next could not walk themselves to the nurse's office, and did not call the police. Instead, they sent them home to their grandmother, who ended up taking them to the hospital where they succumbed to their injuries. Next identified as non-binary. They committed no crime. And if you're a kid out there right now who identifies as non-binary and you're seeing this kind of stuff and it's making you feel very hopeless, just know that there are people out here who are fighting for you, who are fighting to make sure that this never happens again. You will get to grow up, you will get to be who you want to be, and we will not let them take that away from you.
So, okay, you have that person right there saying, going right straight to, they got beaten up because they identified as non-binary. Okay. Well, it comes out that this person here, and this is not a reason for somebody to be beat to death. This is horrible. God rest this person's soul. But it comes out, and I wish I should have had the video for this too. I didn't think about it, but I should have found the video. The cops released the interview of actually Next Benedict's interview while they were in the hospital, and she said pretty much that, okay, so what had happened was she went into with a group of friends into the bathroom, and this other group of girls went into the bathroom also, and they began talking, and she was talking to her friends, they were talking to their friends, and one of the girls in the other group, and this is what I gathered, pretty much said, why do they laugh like that? And Next proceeded to walk up to them and throw water on them. And because she said she didn't want to be talked about. And that is not a reason. Then a fight ensued and she got beaten up. Horrible situation. That is not a reason for somebody to get beat to death. But from what I gather and from what the police have released, she went. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me back it up. Okay, they said that she couldn't make it. She could not make it to the nurse's station herself. But it was actually reported that everybody involved walked to the nurse's station on their own volition. The nurse seen nothing wrong. Then they all let them go home. The grandmother wanted to make sure. So the grandmother brought Next to the hospital where she got looked over. And later on, she passed away. But they're not saying exactly why. We don't know what she passed away from. But the cops did release a statement that they didn't think, or they didn't see it, or it is not believed that she passed away from any trauma or blunt force trauma. So they're now doing a toxicology, and we're still waiting on the results of the toxicology to see exactly why she passed away. But then you have people like this that are going, their first mode of thought is that, hey, a non-binary person got beaten up, so it had to be because they were non-binary, and people are going around just beating non-binary people to death. And it's that is just so irresponsible. And this person, it makes me think that maybe this person, like okay, Next lost her life. And I can promise you that person that just showed in the video, deep in the back of their mind, they want that to be true. They want to believe, and they want to spew out this rhetoric and believe it, that there are people going around. And I'm not saying that this does not happen, because it probably does happen, and it's disgusting. They probably want to believe in their stupid mind that freaking people are going around beating non-binary people to death. And I guarantee you this person, instead of, being worried for the right reasons and saying that this is a horrible thing that happened to this person, which we don't actually know exactly why they passed away, I guarantee you that this person wants that to be the reason in the back of their mind. They want to have next Benedict die at the hands of a person that beat them up just for being non-binary. That's what they want, so they can go around saying this shit and get clicks and views. I guarantee you, she wants that to. This person wants that to be the case. They want that to be the case. They want this person to have gotten beat to death by people that hate non-binary people. They wanted that to happen. I'm trying to convey this the right way, but do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's right out of their playbook. I mean, if you were right, how do I build support for my fringe group? Having a martyr like this is exactly what you need. I mean, if you were to write a book about propaganda for small groups trying to become bigger groups, this is probably, number one, right? Have a martyr to galvanize behind. Your cause gets stronger when people are outraged. So they have to build that outrage. And because transgender people are a small minority, a fringe minority of a minority, in fact, that it's very hard to build that outrage. Well, having a bunch of kids beat up and kill a supposed person of their group is a perfect example of how they can galvanize their cause by having a martyr. So I'm not surprised that she jumped to this, or he jumped to this, or whatever they are. I'm sorry, I don't know, I don't care, I whatever. Yeah. But the bottom line is, this is not a surprise. There are going to be people like this. I mean, we saw it. The Black Lives Matter was built on a similar, premise. You need a martyr to galvanize behind and to militate. This is how you militarize a group as well. You want them to get violent. So what do? You threaten their lives. Whether their lives are actually under threat or not doesn't matter. If they perceive that their lives are under threat, they will galvanize and become more militant, become more isolated, become more combative and less likely to listen to reason because they fear for their existence. And they will literally live in this fantasy world they've created for themselves. No one's out for trans people. No one wants to dehumanize them, as they say. We want to understand the cause of what is making these people think that they are not what they were biologically born as. That is a scientific quest, as it were, to find out what causes gender dysphoria. And in the very rare cases of people actually being born into the wrong sex, that is a genetic error that needs to be identified so that we can correct it prior to birth. That's a defect that we can correct. But it's not. We are creating psychological gender dysphoria by allowing this type of rhetoric to happen. There are people who are generally have gender dysphoria, and then there are those who are psychologically confused. And people like this are galvanizing both sides and people who are supportive of them to side with this militant cause. It's just like any political party. It's just a part of the democratic nonsense. It's the transgressive part of the party. And they will use whatever methods they feel are justified to push their agenda. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
And I can promise you that this person that we just saw, the video was cut off in the beginning, but essentially what they say is, like the video you saw, what they say is, when it first starts, is pretty much right-wing Republican agenda is what killed this person. And I can promise you that person in the video, under desk news or whatever, I can promise you that after all the information came out and that they found out that they were wrong, I bet they were like, dang it, son of a gun. I was wishing that were the case, that this person lost their life because somebody attacked them for being non-binary. I bet she was mad as hell. I bet she was mad as hell. I bet she was mad.
I doubt she really cares. I doubt she's genuine in her beliefs. She was perfectly in a position to take advantage of this crisis, to utilize to garner support for her cause. But whether she
I bet when she found she doesn't. But I bet when she found out that wasn't the case of the shit that she said, I bet she was pissed. Like, dang it. And then in other videos that I've seen, she doubles down and tries to, instead of correcting herself and apologizing, she doubles down and goes, You know, oh my God, it's just so stupid.
Technically, and I hate to give this woman any credit because I don't believe that her point is correct, but she's not entirely wrong. If those young ladies in the bathroom were giggling at her because she's different, and then she threw water, I mean, yeah, she might have felt threatened. That's no excuse to assault someone. That's effectively what throwing water is on, because you don't know what's in that cup. I remember when I was in school, we had an instance of a young person who threw urine at a person, and that was considered assault. They were removed from school for 6 weeks. I mean, that's you don't know what's in the cup. There have been situations people have thrown acid thrown on them. So you have to consider that this is an assault affair. But was it a result of bullying? Probably. Is that wrong? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? Yes, because that's what kids do. And they go after differences. So my question is, why are we trying to create more different people than trying to solve the core problems? We're trying to protect people that need our help, not protect. We're doing it all wrong. We're trying to give them the right to be weird. Instead, we should find out what's wrong with them and fix it. And I'm not saying that there aren't people that exist that have gender dysphoria, but there's a medical reason for that.
But from what the victim said, Next Benedict, in her hospital interview from the police officers, pretty much she heard them laughing and just said, why do they laugh at that? Why do they laugh like that? I'm not sure what that means. That could mean anything. And
you're right. We don't know.
We don't. That's what I'm saying. We don't know. And that could have been the reason. Is because this person was non-binary. That could very well be the reason. But we don't know that. And this person's jumping to conclusion. And
until we get the facts, we're all going to be jumping to conclusions.
Okay,
and that's
but
why
from that person said, from how Next Benedict said, pretty much that she overheard them laughing and say, "Why do they laugh like that?" And she just walked up and threw water on them, and then a fight broke out. Okay,
so in her mind, it was perceived whatever she wants. So you can say something; it might not even be about her. And if she thinks it's about her, she's going to overreact. And that's the problem of over-politicization and these causes. They're garnering. They're not. I'm sorry, that's not the word. They're taking these kids and they're telling them that they're victims. So then when they hear anything that's even remotely could be taken as a threat, they get triggered, right? That's the real word for that. They're triggered. We have created a generation of kids that the concept of sticks and stones don't break my bones, but words can never hurt me no longer applies. Now it's words are violence. They will kill me. And if you call me something that's incorrect, like misgendering me, you're conducting violence against me. I was raised, you can say whatever you want. Once you touch me, all bets are off. But you can say whatever you want. You have the right to say whatever you want. And I have the right to say what I ever want back. But that's not the world we live in anymore.
I remember, like, I would get a little upset. I would get upset and, like, almost fighting mad when somebody made fun of my weight. Boy, now, when somebody, DKZ, you are a fat son of a gun. You are so fat. Now I'm just like, yeah, you gonna finish that pizza? I don't care. Yeah. It's sticks and stones. And our parents grew up telling us that. As long as somebody don't put their hands on you, screw them. It doesn't matter what they think about you. Look, I'll tell you like this. Who cares what somebody thinks about you if they're not putting money in your bank account, sleeping with you, or if they're, very, very important to, your way of life? Who cares what they think about you? And by way of life, I mean like a boss or something like that, which also goes back to the point of they're putting money in your account. If they're not putting money in your account or sleeping with you, who cares what they think about you? Who really cares?
It's this thing, though. It's this concept that the Democrats have, and it's not all the Democrats, but it is definitely the fringe of their party that believe that you have to control words and speech, because words and speech have more meaning than they really do. And that's why they're trying to change the meaning of language. Take the word woman, for instance. The word woman and what that constitutes has been under fire for years now by the Democrats. For instance, there was even a documentary produced by the Daily Wire that was a show about what is a woman.
What is a woman? And, what's her name did that? I think, what was her name?
No, I think it was Matt Walsh.
It might have been. I know it might have been Matt Walsh I'm thinking about.
It's been a while since I watched it, and honestly, I should probably watch it again because it honestly it was like watching Stupid. You trying to ask these people what is a woman, and then they went overseas and they asked like these guys in African tribes what is a woman, and they just laugh at you. It was just so stupid. We and Western culture in general that's absorbing this woke nonsense are the laughing stocks of the world. I mean, I can't imagine people like Xi Jinping over in China or even Putin over in Russia are looking at us, oh, I'm so terrified of the Americans. They're figuring out gender ideology. They can't figure out what to call each other. And
I actually saw a news report.
Or what a woman is.
I actually saw a game report that the Japanese, when they go to ship a game to the United States, like if the female fighter, like in Tekken or whatnot, the female fighter has really large breasts, they'll shrink the breast for a U.S. audience so the U.S. audience don't get triggered like that. Wow.
Yeah, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Yeah, we're the land of imprisoned and the.
I'm really hoping that the microphone didn't catch my cough during that video because I am very coughy today for some reason. I don't know. I'm hoping it.
I am too. I don't know. I think it's the whole country. I'm
gonna have to go get some cough medicine after we get done here. But yeah, if y'all heard my cough during that video, I'm really sorry. Now, moving on from Next Benedict, God rest their soul. It's terrible to see anybody lose their life, you know. Let's just hope the facts come out and we see exactly what happened to this person because, to stop it from happening again. You know, we do. If that were the case, this person was beaten to death. I hope that whoever did this to this person faces consequences. Or we find out if it was something different and we can prevent this from happening to anybody else at that school or in this, country as a whole. But yeah, so hate to see it. God rest their soul.
It's definitely a tragedy. It happened.
Yeah,
regardless of how it comes out. We hate to see kids, and I hate the fact that these kids are being indoctrinated, and at that age, I remember at that age,
She sounds like a really smart person, and
it's tragic. Yeah, who knows what she could have been?
Yeah, she probably could have been something. So, but pray for the family and everything, and as they go through this tough time. Now, moving on to these gentlemen here, what can you tell us? What happened? These guys are from Venezuela. Apparently, they're gang members. And they are wreaking havoc. Am I right in saying that, Mr. Jedi Master Fat Ass?
Well, a lot of them have been arrested, so let's put it that way. I think there were 17 or something total individuals that were clocked on the video attacking those cops in New York. This story is about a month old, but the story itself is not why we're talking about it. The fact is that in New York City, apparently you can beat up two cops and assault someone else. I think they were assaulting a building at the time, and wreak havoc in Times Square. This would happen in Times Square. They attacked two NYPD police officers who were responding to an altercation between, I believe, a door guard or whatnot. And then this gang of Venezuelans, which the sad part is there are multiple gangs operating as pickpockets and thieves in Times Square and around major touristy areas of New York City. And these are all migrant gangs, mostly from Venezuela, and they're organized. The fact is only a couple of these guys were even actually handcuffed at the scene and taken in. They were immediately released because New York apparently doesn't hold criminals for bail or keep them in prison, even when you attack cops. And then, this gang scattered all over the country. Some were captured in Arizona. There's a couple that are still missing, perceived somewhere on the way between New York and California. Others have been arrested conducting other crimes in the places like the Bronx, Queens, and other areas of New York. And they've lost track of some. Some have actually been rearrested and are now in prison. But the fact is New York City has become a lawless wasteland of migrants who are terrorizing New York City. And it's an awful thing. And on top of all the other crap that's going on in New York City, what is New York's DA biggest responsibility? Taking Trump to task. So I have a problem with police organizations who do their job, and then the DAs can't help them because
got no
the laws,
support on them.
They have no support. I mean, the cops are doing their job. They arrested him, took him to the precinct, and then they were released by the DA. Why? You attacked a cop. If you attack a cop, you don't go free. Period. I don't understand how you, because all that does is it encourages more attacks on cops. Cops can't do their jobs if they're worried. I mean, you want to know why cops get out of hand? It's because no one gives a shit about what happens to the cops. And apparently, that's an epidemic in New York City. If I was a cop in New York City, if I saw somebody doing a crime, and they might have been, maybe I was white, they were black, they were a migrant,
is it really worth the risk? You'd have to think about that.
So then you have these minority communities like, well, the cops don't help us. Well, yeah, because every time they try to help you, they either get attacked, or when they get attacked, nobody does anything about it. And this is happening in cities all over the country. I mean, there are places that will say, we don't need cops, we're going to defund them. Well, let's see how that works out. It's already failed in several locations. So
that has to be the stupidest thing ever. I know now, like, for instance, in Austin, you got to pretty much be about to die for a cop to show up, or they have to have, the person that's breaking your house has to have a weapon. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I do know that if somebody just breaks in your house and steal your stuff, and I could be wrong about this is what I heard, and I did see stuff about it, and this is stuff that I heard from friends, that if somebody breaks in your house and steals all your stuff, because of the whole defund the police rhetoric, they did get defunded, and now, like, if somebody breaks in your house and steals your car or something like that, all you can do is go to the police department and file a report.
Just basically report it. Yeah, and then the cops aren't. They're basically, they'll tell you, we're probably not going to find it. We're not going to do anything for you. But you could take the fact that you put your report in and take that to your insurance company, and then your insurance company will then fight you to pay you back for the car that got stolen that the cops are too lazy or don't have the manpower to go get. And then even if they got the guy, the DA will let them go free. I mean, this is it. There used to be a time where if you committed a crime, you would go to jail. You would pay for it, and you would then not do it again because you don't want to go back. But now, it's just the jail is a revolving door. You get caught for stealing, you go in, you're out the next day. And court cases are so backed up because there's so much crime that you won't have a court case for 2 years. So you go steal something, you'll be out the next day, and you don't have to report for your court case for years.
I remember back in the day, it was actually, like, for instance, I almost moved to California and New York. I remember, like, I ended up getting a DUI when I was about 18 years old, and I used all my money that I had saved up to move to California to pretty much pay off all my fines from the DUI, and I wasn't able to move to California. And then I remember another time, it was my dream back in the day to move to New York, and maybe just for a year, because somebody, a lot of people told me, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, and I wanted to do that. Thank God neither of those things happened, and I did not end up in California or New York. Thank God that did not happen. I'm thankful now, and I see that it was part of God's plan to keep me away from that place, even though I was pretty much upset at the time that I was not able to move to California or New York. But now I don't want no part of it. I don't even want to visit New York. I hate when I have to go there for work. I don't want to visit California. I hate when I have to go there for work. I want my family that's in California, I want them to move out and come to Texas, because I'm just like, why do y'all still want to live there? But their roots are set there, so they're not going anywhere. But I hate to see it. I wish they would leave. But I want no part of it personally. I'm good on the California or New York. Back in the day, those were the places to be. Now it is just a wasteland stricken with crime. Look at the streets of California, of LA. It's just trash and disgustingness. I'm good. Once great cities are now just crap wasteland that is just not fit for living anymore.
Yeah. I lived in California for 7 years when I was really, really young. And I remember it being a beautiful place, great weather. I remember a lot of the people were really good. One thing I always knew about California was it gave you the wants because there was so much money there. I remember when I lived there. This was 90.
Not the case anymore. And if you do make money, they'll find a way to get it from you.
But this was not that long ago. I lived there from 87 to 93, and I remember it being basically money. I mean, all the cars were, BMWs, Mercedes. I mean, we're talking, expensive cars. People were doing really, really well. Houses were beautiful. Now it's homeless, it's migrants, it's trash, it's shit. You're either super rich, part of the elite, probably linked to either finance, tech, or Hollywood, or you're one of the plebes who basically serves the state. And there's people talking about how the state's coming after their kids because they don't want to raise them as transgender. I mean, it's just that place is. I don't. That's not America anymore. I don't know how we let it get that bad. I don't know how a state could become so different than the rest of the country. I mean, there are things that you have to do to ship to California. There are things you have to do to live there that no other state does. And they're like another country within the United States. And their ideals are so different than everywhere else in the country. I mean, even other liberal bastions like New York. But California is so far from that. And it's for me, you have these tiers of progressivism. And California is at the farthest fringe. And then you have Canada under Trudeau. And then you've got New York. And then you have the rest of the blue states in the United States. And then you have, the neutrals, the kind of the purple states. And then you have the red states. And I can't understand how California was allowed to be like it is. And I'm sorry for people who live there. But if
Gavin Newsom, and that's who some people want to be president, Gavin Newsom.
He might be the most recent corrupt piece of shit to run California, but he's certainly not the only one. California has been...
He's continuing the tradition over there, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he's definitely... He's the definition of the Pelosi swamp and what her ilk have done to California. They're all related. They're all connected. They're all tied to one another, both financially, through family, through nepotism. That state is garbage. And the United States, a lot of people talk about national divorce. If California wants to leave, I am 1,000% behind them leaving because they do not represent American values.
And another thing that I saw that's happening, like while California, New York, and stuff like blue cities are crumbling, you have, I don't know if you saw this, but Oklahoma City is on the rise. Like red cities are getting financial gain. Like they're building the world, like the tallest building in the United States is gonna be in Oklahoma City. That's something. You would think that'd be in like New York or LA, but no, it's gonna be in Oklahoma City.
We're going to see in the next decade a complete transformation of financial and economic power, and not just that. We're going to see manufacturing and tech and things like that start to change in this country. You're going to see places like California, Washington. We're going to see places like New York,
Denver,
Hawaii, Colorado.
Colorado.
You're seeing companies flee these democratic states in droves, taking billions. And
they're already doing it now. They're already doing it.
Yeah, they're already doing it now. And but what you're going to see is as they build their new infrastructures in places like Texas and Florida and Tennessee and Oklahoma and what we consider to be red states, we're going to see this transformation of wealth, power, population, industry, exporting. All of this is going to rise in red states, and it's going to decrease in blue states. Blue states are going to continue to shell out money to go further and further into debt. And you're going to see the red states carrying these blue states. And if you think that the Republicans are going to want to pay for the Democratic shitholes to continue to pay for stupid shit, you're out of your damn mind. And when the money and power converts to the red side, they're going to go after the Democrats using the same tools the Democrats are using right now to go after Republicans, because Republicans
let me hold you up there. They're going to continue to flourish, the red states. They're going to continue to flourish until they become blue states. Then it's going to be.
But that takes time.
They're going to eventually. All the people coming from New York going into Florida. All the people coming from California moving here into Texas. Yeah, they're all bringing the way they vote over with them. They're all bringing their politics. A lot of them.
Not all of them.
I mean, look how razor thin in the midterm elections. Look how razor thin it was for Texas for the first time and for how long. Look how razor thin of a margin it was.
Yeah, but that's because of the mail-in ballots. That's that bullshit. We saw.
Maybe we don't know.
We saw one of the most unfair, and I'm not going to say that it was rigged, but it was unfair. It was done improperly, and it allowed for way too much improper activity to be done, whether it was criminal or not. It wasn't fair being done in the last election. Whether that means that it was an illegal vote or not, I'm not a lawyer. I can't say to that, but I would say that if they could prove it, they would find it, and they haven't, but I know it's there. You've got to know it's there. Just the fact that there was a massive lawfare effort to protect these really stupid, just nonsensical voting laws, like voter ID laws, they just make sense. I mean, all this nonsense about black people can't get an ID. Are you kidding me? You need an ID to get on a freaking airplane.
I can't understand that. Like, how are like people of color, black people, how are they not offended by that? We think you can't get an ID. You can't tell me what I can't get.
Not to be the most racist comment.
How the hell?
Of course, it always comes from Democrats.
Oh my God, I can't even understand that.
Democrats think that their minority, their protected groups, are all weak. That's why all these people that are selling this crap are elite white people. I mean, what the hell is up with that? What is wrong with these people that they literally believe that black people can't go out and get an ID? Like, that is the most racist shit. And Biden calling a boy? I mean, I'm sorry, but these people are racist as hell, whether they realize it or not.
We've gone off topic long enough.
Let's
move on. Like speaking of Venezuelan gang members, this is another situation involving the same people. It's it's believed, allegedly, dealing with this young lady right here. Can you fill us in here?
So this is a different deal. This is a guy that killed this young nursing student from the University of Georgia. Was suspected to be a gang member back in Venezuela. So we don't know if there's any ties to organized crime here. But the fact is this guy attacked this young woman who was on a run near their intramural fields on campus, dragged her body away, and basically disfigured her. We don't know why, but this guy was a migrant, and it just pisses me off to no end that these are all preventable. Every one of these. If we had known who this guy was, done the actual research into who he was before he came here, he might not have ever been here in the first place. Is that going to stop all crime? No. But this is just another crime that we have seen of people who are literally committing crimes just to come here, and so obviously don't give a shit about our laws. Don't give a shit about who we are, don't care about America, they only care about themselves, and this is just more proof that these people are not good for our country, and yet Biden wants them in here because he can get more, he can game the system to get more votes. And we know this
to get more, and this is just hearsay, not just gain more votes, but also
more influence on it.
Well, not just that, but like a lot of these men that are coming through the border are military aged, and they'll be more inclined to follow a messed up order than a homegrown U.S.
Yeah,
American.
they don't care about American citizens.
They wouldn't care.
So
you want me to bomb Texas? I'll go do it. Real quick. I don't care.
And we know that's why they've opened the door. I mean, that and the fact that nobody wants to work for the army anymore. That's why they've opened the doors to migrants, or they want to open doors to migrants, so that they can have a force that doesn't care about the Constitution, about the United States, about American citizens. And if they're ordered to do it because they're getting paid, they'll do it.
I also heard about another situation where this migrant was in, maybe, I'm not sure exactly what city they were in, but they were upset because they did not get a one of those, I guess, a check that they get when they come here. He was upset that he didn't get his benefits or whatnot. He then proceeded to throw a brick over a bridge, over an overpass. The brick then flew and hit a car in the windshield, flew through the windshield, killed the lady sitting in the passenger seat, right next to her husband that was driving, and right in front of her daughter that was sitting in the back seat. Bruh, like, really? Really?
The free ride needs to stop. We don't have the money. We're spending money like it was water that we don't
And then they
have.
throw tantrums when they don't get it. Like,
yeah,
know?
And the fact is that our government is so disingenuous.
And
they called a border bill. They called the bill that they put to the Senate a border bill, but it wasn't a border bill. It was a Ukraine foreign aid bill with Israel and Taiwan aid attached to it. And the money that they had going to the border.
And not to mention they passed the bill. They passed the bill the night of the Super Bowl, late at night.
Well, yeah, the Senate passed it like midnight, and of course it's
Super
dead
Bowl
on
night.
arrival in the Congress. And while I'm not a huge fan of Congress because they've just done some stupid shit, but bottom line is I'm very happy that they're not going to bring that to a vote. It doesn't deserve a vote. It's literally gaslighting the entire country, and I hate it, and it's stupid. And I'm really tired of the Biden administration trying to sneak this shit through, and Senate not being smart enough to see it. Congress is stupid as well. They have their own problems over there, but at least they're not rubber stamping the Biden agenda like they were before. Now, my biggest problem is I don't think that anything that Biden does is going to fix the problem because he caused it in the first place. So if he can go in and fix the problem, it proves that he could have done it all along, and that's why he won't do it, because it literally proves everyone's point that he could have fixed this problem easily, and he just never has. So I don't think we're going to see any movement on the border in the rest of this presidency.
And that right there is what Trump's going to use to win. That's going to be a big proponent.
I certainly hope so.
That's going to be a big without a shadow of a doubt, that's going to be a big old proponent.
Now I'm also getting more and more concerned that Biden will not make it to the election. I don't, with all the gaffes that he's had, how isolated they've kept him. That might work for the primary. It's not going to work.
Right, it goes to show you a lot that they're not even having a debate on that side.
Yeah,
like that.
but I mean, but that's for me. If you have to make excuses like we're not going to debate a criminal to prevent Biden from going up against Trump, the Democrats are not going to win. The Democrats, all they need to see is Biden being a human being that can stand on stage and finish the entire sentence without
read a
making
teleprompter.
Read a teleprompter, absolutely. Or even what we would really like to see, or at least Democrats I'm sure would like to see, is at least him answer one question that's not on the teleprompter without reading a card. I don't think he can do it. And I think as we get closer to the end of the primaries, I think there's going to be an effort to remove him from office, whether it's through the is it the 25th Amendment?
Well, let's move into our next situation here with dealing with Trump. So you can go ahead.
So as we all know, Trump lost his case, which we knew he was going to lose months and months and months ago, because Engoron basically declared him guilty on day one, and the only discussion was how much money are they going to fleece from Trump as a result of him being guilty of fraud. So they charged him for $355 million. And he has a month to appeal, or they'll steal his buildings in New York, which are worth, I think, like $1 billion or something. But in addition to the fact that he has to pay $355 million, he also has to pay like $115,000 a day in fees if he doesn't pay it. And I think that already started. So, of course, the lady, I think what's her name? Letitia. Here it is. What's her name? I try to forget her because she's such a terrible person. Yeah, Letitia James, DA of Manhattan. She's taunting him, basically, in her texts. Basically giving an update on how much he owes every day.
You know, and they can't even be classy about it. They gotta be jerks. Yeah. Like
the fact is they know they're vindictive. They know this was political, and they know they're going to get away with it, and they don't care. My question is I don't know I can't imagine that the court and the appeals court in New York is going to be any more favorable towards Trump than the New York guys, the other New York guys. But I have to imagine that I think it's a panel. I don't think it's a single judge. I'm not 100% sure on that. I need to look at the appeals process in New York to see what that looks like. But I can't imagine anyone who's actually a legitimate judge who truly believes in the law would ever actually sign off on this. Engoron's obviously a political animal, but we'll see how corrupt the appeals process is in New York City. I just don't know enough about New York. I try not to know much about New York. New York's one of those states that I feel like they've made their own bed and they should lie in it. I don't give a shit about what happens to New Yorkers because you vote for your own bullshit. So if you vote to live in shit, you should live in shit. That's your own fault.
Very well
and
put.
I would like to see. I actually want to see if a New Yorker, if there's any New Yorkers that watch our show, I'm sorry I hate New York, and I don't hate you, but
California too,
and your city's even worse. And everyone in California, you're all idiots. But if you live in New York,
hey, I got family there.
Well, they're idiots for staying. I mean, I'm sure your family are great people, but they're idiots for staying in California.
I can't argue. Love you, Chila.
But there's great places in New York State. I just think the city itself is lost as a place. It's godforsaken and should be bombed by holy fire and holy water. But anyway, that's my personal opinion. But if there's anybody in New York that's watching, I would like to hear what it's like living in New York, and I would also like to see if the trucker boycott of your state.
To tell you, we do not. We do not endorse the bombing of any city. That was clearly a joke.
I was thinking more like Sodom and Gomorrah, like holy justification. I'm not saying anybody should actually bomb New York, but if God wants to do it, hey, God, Sodom and Gomorrah.
We want to put that we do not support the bombing of innocent people in a city. Okay.
But God can judge whoever he wants, so, hellfire and brimstone, all that. Just saying.
All right. Oh, wait. Not me. Not me. He said that.
The opinions of our host do not represent the company's ideology.
I don't. Yeah. So.
Those are my personal.
Moving on. Yeah. Not me. Moving right along. All right, bro. You're gonna get bruh.
I'm gonna get us banned, man. I'm gonna get us banned.
Okay.
YouTube. Screw you.
Okay. That's why we're also on Rumble, ladies and gentlemen. But next thing, we're moving on to this. Speaking of voting and stuff that's coming along, what's the deal with this here? Why is this big guy behind this little girl? I hope that's a father and daughter, but why is this dude shirtless?
Not in correlation to this story. So in Colorado, which we all know is a weird place. In Colorado, the Democrats in their state legislature have voted against a bill that would require minimum jail sentences for child, basically, the pimps, the sexual prostitution of minors. The Republicans presented a bill that would require jail time for these individuals, and the Democrats...
Screw jail time. They need to be put to death.
Well, this is just another example of the Democrats protecting child prostitution, child porn, child abuse, and I think that it's just something that needs to be brought to attention. Why are the Democrats so concerned about indoctrinating children, brainwashing children, cutting off the genitalia of children, chemically castrating children, trafficking children across
why are they so after children?
Prostitution, defending sex predators, and preventing them from going to jail? I don't understand it, but they're protecting people like Epstein and things like that. Why is this happening? Why are they allowing it to happen? And
why are they so after children? What the hell? They have such a hard on for children. Children!
Every time they attack Republicans, it's because Republicans are trying to protect kids from having their genitals cut off, being chemically castrated, being trafficked across the border, being used as prostitutes. But they're being attacked because they're targeting children. No, we're trying to protect kids. Republicans are trying to protect kids in almost every circumstance, and Democrats are trying to protect the predators against them in almost every circumstance. Why is that happening, and why are we allowing it? And if you're a Democrat, you need to ask your leaders, why is this something that they're pushing? Why are you protecting these people? Why are you giving them political cover? And why aren't we prosecuting these people to the fullest extent of the law? They need to be in jail. If any crime should be punished to the fullest extent of the law, child crimes
Any
children
any crime against a
list.
child, and no, put to jail. They need to be put to death. I'm sorry, I will say that.
I
know about the
believe
bombing
that
and
we
stuff,
need to
but
have
I
the
will say
absolute
that.
harshest sentences.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
death. I'm sorry. If they are proven to have inflicted harm on a child, the most innocent thing in the world, they don't deserve to live. I'm sorry. Yes, I said it. I don't care what you say, because at that point you're just pure evil, and we need a little bit less.
I'm leaving that to the real criminal justice.
Well, this is
system.
what I'm going to say.
Criminals
This is
doing
what I'm going to
justice in
say.
prison.
If you are evil enough to inflict harm on a child in any way, then we need a little bit less evil in this world. That means you need to be taken out of this world. I'm sorry, point blank. And that's how I feel.
I agree. I'm more on the deal that the real criminal justice system, which are the criminals inside the justice system, should be handling these people.
Yeah.
Because I think that
heard what happened to old boy from that '70s show, whatever. I heard he got
Daniel Matheson.
I heard.
Matheson.
Yeah, I heard he got, son.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
I don't.
Hey, big up.
I don't know the facts behind that story, so I don't want to comment on it.
I'm gonna comment on it.
Him in that '70s show, so I don't want to say anything one way or the other.
The hell with him.
If he really did whatever they accused him of,
if he did, good. Big up to those cats in jail that got him.
Yeah.
Big up to those cats in jail that got him. If he did do what he said, so that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, this is disgusting. Of course, again, we have that side protecting people messing with children. Disgusting.
You'd think that'd be a bipartisan thing. We need to stop crimes against kids. But for some reason, this is a controversial political
And they want to
topic.
give them nice names and stuff, like maps and all this stuff like that. Man, screw you and your maps. You deserve to die.
You're
Yeah,
pedophiles.
you're a sick son of a gun, and yeah, you need to suffer as long as possible. And yeah, that is all that we have to say on that. And they need to chill out with this crap. Leave the kids alone, you insane people.
Yeah, leave the kids alone.
Now,
leave the kids alone. You gotta stop going after the kids. If you want to have a legitimate argument about anything, once you target the kids, that is off limits. You've lost me. I will no longer argue with someone who defends this bullshit. If you are someone who defends sex trafficking, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. I'm sorry. The conversation's over. You are not even worth talking to. You are a piece of trash. So Democrats,
you can kick him in the nuts, and we can double.
You need to lose them.
We can double whammy. You kick him in the nuts, I kick him in the balls.
Yeah,
I mean, no. I kick him in the ass right there, like a twofer. I am sure
there are millions of people that would line up right behind us to do the exact same thing. So
be a bad day for you.
Fuck you. That's all I'm gonna say.
My sentiments exactly. Now, speaking of leave the kids alone, people need to leave us alone and leave our privacy alone. Our next story. What can you tell us about this, Mr. Fat Ass?
This is Aware AI. It is a program being used, and I want to list these few that were on top of the list here. These are some big companies that are already using this to monitor their employees' messages at work. This is the Slack. This is Microsoft Teams. I'm sure the Google. What is it, Groups, or what is the Google one? Google has one too. I'm sure there are others involved that they're monitoring, but this is an AI that is being sold to major corporations and firms to monitor the conversations of their employees and staff. Walmart, Delta, T-Mobile, Chevron, Starbucks are just some of the ones that have already starting to use this, basically this software.
I tell you what.
In their business.
I tell you what, if they had this back when we worked for that moving company, if they had it, we would have been screwed right away. We would have been out the door.
I mean, even conversations. I mean, I work at a company right now. We use Teams every day. It's an integral part of how we communicate between stores, by how we communicate with each other, by how we communicate with our parent company that has all that.
Same with my company.
I work for a tech company that does repairs on devices, on hardware devices, like phones and tablets and things like that. So we communicate using Teams all the time, and we have connections with Asurion and things like that, and so we have a connection to them. And so when we're talking, we're often asking questions just about tech and stuff like that. A lot of times it's like, we know the people we're talking to, and so there are private conversations that are mixed in with some of the work conversations, and not bad. Obviously, if you're at work, you're not going to talk about crazy stuff, but anything that you say on there, it could be monitored. That is a breach of privacy. And while how it's being utilized, there might be some defense on it in certain circumstances, but just monitoring everything that your employees are saying, that's a bit much.
I mean, if they had
it, to do it, why would we allow our company?
If they had it when we worked at that moving company, they would have heard a lot of the word booty hole from me, like that.
Well, yeah,
they would have, like, there are a lot of references to booty hole,
but with how companies are so interested in DEI and diversity and things like that, if you say something bad on there, even though you know the other person might be fine with it, it might be an inside joke, it might be something that might be taken out of context.
We're already being monitored.
You find yourself brought up before HR, and they show you your conversation. They show you a snapshot.
We're already being monitored on PlayStation. Now we got to be monitored while we're doing a job.
Yeah, so it's one more step in the loss of privacy.
And this totalitarian thing that, like so in a movie.
You want to know,
Big Brother.
You're all concerned that the government is watching everything that you say, but
companies are just as interested.
It's your company. It's the advertisers that you buy things from. All of these people are watching what you do. So you have no privacy. You have an illusion of it maybe, but just understand that every time that we look back and we see something like this, like a company's doing that, and we justify them doing that, it's one more time that we have simply sat aside and let our privacy go away. So if you're an employee and you're being spied on, you should say something about that, because it's not right. I don't know if it's legal or not. That'll probably come up at some point or another. And the corporations are going to spend tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars defending their right to spy on you. And they have the money to fight that battle, and we don't. And so we will always lose that battle, because they will always own our politicians, the lobbyists. They will always own the bureaucrats. And we need to be very careful in what we allow to go into Congress and what we allow to pass. And voting matters. And if you continue to vote for these sponsors of these companies and people who support censorship and things like that, you're going to find that anything you say could be brought up, and you might even find yourself, your company could submit you for trial in the government. They can come after you for your speech. So just be very careful. We are a free country. We need to defend those freedoms. And so if you allow yourself to lose those freedoms and you don't defend them, well, that's your own fault, because you didn't stand up when you could. And now is one of those times where you could. So if you notice that your company is using Aware AI, let everybody know. Let us know. Let Timcast know. Let Daily Wire know. Let Fox News know. Let anyone who will get your message out know, because there are people that are interested in preventing that from happening, and will support you on that.
Well, I mean, it's just another step till becoming this totalitarian society where we have no privacy and everything, and we are just controlled like sheep. So,
yeah, obey the state or else.
Yeah. So, well, you have anything to add?
Oh yeah, no. On that happy note, let's end it. Yeah, no. Not exactly a lot of fun in this.
No, this wasn't a very fun one, but we are about to go have fun. You said something about defending freedom, right?
I did say defending freedom, yes.
So we're about to go defend our freedom against these machines and bugs in Helldivers 2. So
yeah, we're gonna have fun with that. So we're gonna have fun. We hope you all join us on Helldivers 2 and kill the bugs and of course the.
That's what we're gonna go do now.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe, you guys. We appreciate you. Yeah. Let us know what you think of all this. And for Jedi Master Fatass, I am Dropkick Zombie. Over and out, you guys. Y'all have a good night.